anywhere from 1.5 to 2 times the length of the hook shank. So we'll do it so it's about twice the length of the hook shank. And we'll get our thread going and tie it right on top of the hook shank. All the while I'm still pulling back with my left hand so the material stays on top. Now just for something a little bit different, instead of splaying the tails into 2 equal groups, we'll just take a turn of thread on the underside and kind of lift up. And what that did, as you can tell, kind of splayed them out a little bit. And that, for our purposes right now, and just to show you something a little bit different, that's what we're going to go with. For the body, once again, we're going to use a goose biot. So far we've done one pattern in a pale morning dun, one in a blue winged olive. This one's going to be a rusty spinner. Again, we're going to take our goose biot. This one has the notch on the right hand side. So we're going to flip it around so we have the notch on to the left. Now before I start to tie it in, again I'm going to have to moisten it. So I stick it in my mouth and we're going to tie it in by the tip. And we bring our thread forward. And we're going to cut off the excess tail material. Again, make sure you make that first little wrap with your biot. Then you're ready to attach your hackle pliers. And we just start wrapping it forward, making sure that we cover up those fuzzy little ribs. And that gives us a nice segmented and natural looking body. Get up to the thorax and we're ready to tie it off. Take a few more turns to make sure it doesn't come undone, and we'll cut off the excess. And we'll just smooth things up here a little bit with our thread. And we'll take our thread back to the back of the thorax area just like we would on a nymph. And we're going to tie in a wing case. And for the wing case on this fly, what we're going to do is use some medallion sheeting. For the most part, you want to kind of match what the wing color is, or kind of a medium dun color. So we'll cut a little strip of this. And just cut that out of there. And we'll attach it just like we're going to be doing it for a nymph. Again, I started on the side towards me. That way when I tightened up the thread, the material ended up right on top of the hook shank. Now we're ready to tie in some hackle. Since we're doing a rusty spinner, we're going to use one of Whiting's dyed grizzly hen necks. And this happens to be brown. Another nice little note on your spinner flies, once they get to this stage, their legs happen just to be a little bit longer than what you would normally see on a dun pattern. So we'll go through here and we'll pick out one so we have a little bit longer fibers here. So we cut it and strip some fibers off. And we'll just tie that in there. Then we advance our thread up into the middle of the thorax, and now we're ready for our wings. For our wings, most wings are generally white or a haline color, but for this fly, I kind of like a light dun color. So we'll take it, one of Whiting's hen necks here, just because of the round tips. There we go. Right there. There's a couple. Pluck those out of there. Get the fuzz off of there. And we'll put the shiny side together just so they splay out. And the tips are pretty even, so we're going to bring it on up to the hook shank. Again, we're going to measure it for length. length of the hook shank, hold it there, snip it to the length of the hook eye. Remove all the excess fibers that you cut. And just like on the adult patterns, you're going to tie in your wings right in the middle of the thorax. Then you come through, bring your wings forward and just wrap behind them a little bit so they stand straight up. And then you're going to separate them. And you're going to do a couple figure eights in here, just so they stay spent for you. And if you happen to get some loose white fibers sticking out, just come in here with some fine tip scissors like these stonefly and just snip those right on out of there. Once that's done, we're ready for some dubbing. Here again, the microfiber dubbing also comes in a color made for the rusty spinner or the red quill. So we'll take that red quill color and we're going to add that to our thread. For the most part, all the flies we've been tying so far will generally be tied in a size 16 to probably 22, 24. And one of the key things in tying small flies is having not such a really expensive vise, but a nice quality vise that has nice small jaws which can hold the small hooks like the HMH here. Once we have our thread on here, we're going to kind of push our wings forward and we start wrapping behind the wings. And we'll figure eight through them a little bit. What we're doing is building up a thorax. And we just come forward. Once that's done, we can take our soft hackle. All you need is about a turn behind the wing. And a turn, maybe two right in front. Then you're ready to tie it off, just like so, and you snip off the excess. Now just to make sure that this fly is a little more clean looking, we're going to snip the hackle off the top of the fly as well. Remove the stuff that you just cut off, and just to make sure that these wings lay flat, and if you have any stray hackles sticking out, you bring over the wing case, and what that does, it holds everything down. Tie it off, and we just cut off the excess there. Now we're ready to finish it off. Get our fingers in here, pull everything back so we don't tie down the fibers. Oop. And we're ready to take our thread off. Now as you can see, we have all this hackle on the underside. But since we use a soft hackle, it's real easy just to pull it off to the side and then just take your fingers and come in and just smash it. Just pinch the heck out of it. And what that does, it just displaces the fibers from the underside out to the side, making it look more realistic like you have legs. And that's what I like to call the soft hackle spinner. And as we turn it around, if you just happen to have a few fibers on the underside here and need to get rid of them, just snip them out of there and you're ready to go.